from some people who will say that the politicians have a role to play. They are the one that will be your agents. They are the one that will do those things. Have you considered it? Some have even said that, oh, he's a reverend, he's a reverend father, he only knows about the people. But there are people who will do this job. And the call you made is also the call they are making, that they want you to unify these politicians. So how deep are you considering this issue to get this ticket? Because it's no longer news that you want to go for second time.
Thank you so very much for the question. Who are the politicians? They are the people. So, and if you are delivering on your contractual terms with them, I think it goes as much to say that, yes, they're the end point on saying, go ahead, have this ticket, or we'll buy you a ticket and all that. So my administration is people-oriented. And the politicians are part of the people-oriented. So granted that there might be 1, 2 political gladiators, but then they're also part of the people. So if we are working in sync with the terms of our reference in producing what democracy promises, in doing what is quite appealing to them, in doing what brings governance and democracy closer to their footsteps. I think they will also continue to have an urge to have that kind of a personality and the strategies and the executor to continue with the programming. So that is what informs my conviction. Would there be other political parties, trying to get into the platform, into the square? Yeah, there may be. But as we speak, we have collapsed every other political establishment into our APC. Would there be other skirmishes of small parties somewhere? The answer might be yes. But majorly, when I say collapse, what do I mean? They are seeing what we are doing. Their prayers are answered for what they had sought to be done for the state. And they are excited about it. So, but are there political shenanigans that would want to get in between the equation? The answer is yes. Because their frenzy had no longer been dined, been fed. So they might try to chip in, some clogs in the wheel and all that. But as a unified body of the party, I think we shouldn't even be thinking of any displacing us. Definitely everybody will want to sit where I'm sitting. But the question is, do they have the capacity to do that? Are they people-oriented? With this amount of work we have done, what are they bringing new on the table? By the virtue of the contract we have with the people, what have we left out? So, but again, I'm not playing blind to the fact that we're dealing with human beings, we're dealing with a political family. So when you feel everybody should be on one common bandwagon, 1, 2 people would say, well, you are going too faster than my own speed. So there has to be a way either to slow down and get them on the bandwagon, or find some way to carry them on your back so that the equation is met and everybody is at par. So we're quite conscious of this, and we'll continue to make efforts towards unification of every member of the APC in the state. And it is my frame of thinking that many more would come to join our political ranks because of what they see us do because of the answers we were supplying to the questions they had nurtured many years ago. So that's where we are.
Let me take you back to local government autonomy, because you did mention, while responding to Mr. Shegun's question, that the first thing you did was to give local government autonomy. And this has been going back and front, implementation, governors asking for extension, then the federal government saying no allocation if states do not conduct local government election. Now you saying you are the first thing you did was local government autonomy. But we hear that governors are lobbying the federal government that this should not be implemented. Are you distancing yourself from that statement?
The devil is usually in the details. When you unveil local government autonomy, that is where a number of things meet at that bridge, trying to have themselves sought out. If you leave the local government per se with the payment of pensions, for instance in the state, where the contribution that the state government was expected to do for the local government staff was said to be done on paper, but there's no cash any place. And it's the same thing with the state. What do? Where will they begin from? How much are they receiving? Will they be able to do capital projects? The arrangements we have made with our local government here is on capital projects. The executive contributes 60% and the local government contribute 40%. It's something new, but we're already on it. And there is some sound cooperation on this. And this is why we have spread a lot of road. Again, let me correct myself, 391.9 kilometers of roads. As I speak, are moving on. Within this capital city here, I think over 16, the initial 16 are already done with. And then a number are ongoing as we're speaking. So that is the kind of arrangement we went into. And when you have a state like mine where you have insecurity infestation, what do? There must be some arrangement between the executive and the local government to see at what point we can meet on funds to take care of this. All the insecurities are happening out there in the local governments. Makurdi Township itself is a local government, but we don't have that anxiety. So it's more out there. So what support can we as a state get from the local governments in contribution to fighting insecurity? And if they do that, would they still be able to pay their salaries, take care of their pensions, take care of all the other entitlements? Believe me, the answer is no. And more so that so much money was owed even to the local government. So where would they start? So these are the anxieties that exist within this framework of the local government autonomy. Did I have any reservations on granting this autonomy? The answer is no. If the federal government now puts at right, paying the local government very directly, would I have any problems? The answer is no. I wouldn't have any anxieties personally, because I had already weighed a number of things. If I didn't grant autonomy to the legislature, to the judiciary, by my own calculation, I was left with nothing for the rest of the state. So the only transparent way was let them go. So, and then we share the equation. What comes in, they take their percentile, I take mine, and the judiciary takes hers. And this is why we've been having this smooth running. And this is why I've been able to say payment of salaries instead of 70%, let us put 5 more gears, 75%. Are we good on that? The answer is yes. And this is why we're even able to do multiple roads we're doing even in the suburbs. And it's not just the roads that we've embarked upon. So ordinarily, I wouldn't have any problems at all, because I've put all the works side by side and seen, and the only transparent way is where they go. Now, there would be a lot of significant challenges in there. Parties might suffer. Definitely they may suffer. I don't know why, but that is established by certain findings. Would there be a centrality of activities? There might be some challenges in there. Would there be a number of projects synonymous with the inflows? That might have her own reservations as well. So, what they're giving the autonomy, I did. At the same time, their funds were still flowing into the state's pool. So, we made certain agreements. You take care of the state's insecurity as well. And then we also have to take care of the state infrastructural development. And this is how you would do this. So they are accepted. We have the IDPs. The local governments, again, 17 local governments are housing them. And most of our IDPs are now hosted by the immediate communities. So, and then they're supported by the state government. So, and where do we get the funds from? From both the executive and then the local government. So we chip in. So when all the chippings in are done, what is the local government left with? So those would be the anxieties in there. So, but I think the best practice of it is, since you have granted them, we're monitoring, we're just day by day, we're moving for so far, so good, quite smoothly, I would say. But then with the infestation again of the insecurities, it's much concerning.
Just quickly on the matter of salaries, because you've had to make a number of times. Are we looking here at the national minimum wage? Has Benue implemented that?
That is the national. Okay. Yeah, national minimum wage. So the minimum everybody receives in Benue, 75,000 naira monthly.
His Excellency, on assumption of office, you met a lot of deficit infrastructure in the state. And we see that so many roads are being opened up, construction of roads, revitalization of hospitals and schools. There's one burning issue which boils down to the moribund industries. These are the industries where our local farmers take their farm produce to get value for their farm produce. But the industries are moribund, they are not functioning. How do you intend to revive these industries, most especially creating job opportunities for our teeming youths that are graduating from school and generating revenue for the state?
Very great question. For some reason, I don't know which state would be number one on litigations, but Benue can never be, would not be far from being number two, if we're not number one. There are a series of encumbrances on those moribund projects of ours, industries of ours. Unfortunately, they are deeper than the sea. And We have tried, we are still trying. We are still going to the courts to see how they can be released to us. We are bringing in investors to see how they can take over, like the Taraku mills. As the #1 producer of soybeans, I mean, we simply needed the industry, you know, for value addition of processing industrialization. But then unfortunately, you know, it went down the dips. Now, the investors are still on this conversation. We're also pleading with our very people who took the companies to court. We have paid a lot of money to those staff that the federal government could not even pay. Billions of naira already, for the record. Billions and billions of naira we've paid to such staff, including that Taraku Mills. Taraku Mills was one of our biggest. And then we also had the Benue brewery. The previous administration sold the brewery. The Benue cement was also sold. Today is Dangote cement. We have the brick industry in Otukpo. We also have the asphalt company towards Boko Road. For a very long time, these were lying fallow. The facilities in there had already collapsed. Since a number of administration could not make them a priority, I mean, they were never salvaged. We had a rice mill here right in North Bank. Again, it was sold. So literally, there was a calibrated attempt by some administration to perpetually leave Benue State in poverty. And that became quite concerning. And numerous of our youth were now rendered jobless. With the Dangote cement, Benue State still owns her own 10% there. Unfortunately, the previous administrations could not follow up on this. The entitlements were supposed to have, then the executive positions the state was supposed to occupy, the job hiring that the state was supposed to feed in were never done. So we are just in very formal talks back and forth with the Dangote establishment, and it is our hope that we're going to get through to the other tunnel. So these are the problems we have. However, instead of crushing our legs and then continually wiping our tears, we have started something moving at some scale. We now have established the brewery. For the records, it's not that my people are drunkards. Not exact, no, they're not. But the consumption of bottles, I don't mean any harm here. Let no one misquote me at all. No harm intended at all. The consumption of the bottles in the state during festive periods, it's over 1 billion naira, just within the time frame. When we had the Benue brewery, a lot of our youth were hired. So it created a good avenue, not just for consumption, but for employment. We no longer have this. So whether we think towards re-strategizing on building our internal economy on the factory, other people are still going to bring in their own consumables to us. So the only way is to chart a way forward where we establish ours, hire our youth, and then in as much as people are still consuming, our youth are doing the craft. So there is a minimalism on them walking the streets, just swinging their hands. They are earning a living in here. So a few of those who are thinking on.
Your Excellency, You have just said that APC practically has no opposition in the state. But yet we hear it everywhere that there are some people who are willing or who wants to challenge you for the governorship in the state. And most of these people have their support among the people. For example, we mentioned someone a few minutes ago and he's propping up somebody. Sir, don't you think that this might be the beginning of crisis within the APC, and it might affect your chances?
He's cropping up someone as what?
As governorship candidate.
In his own capacity as?
For example, SGF.
He's the party's leadership, and with the party that presents candidates. Individuals are not permitted to do that, except they want to leave our party and then spring up with their own party and then create more competition. They have their right to do that, but within the APC framing, we're not thinking that. We're not thinking that. But again, it's not for me to preempt or to say. It's the people that would say. And this is why I'm people-centered. So everything about democracy, about partisanship, must be centered on the people. Anything short of that, it's no longer democracy.
Right, Mr. Governor, I'd like to go to education, the matter of schools. You see, when they talk about ghost workers, you talk about ghost schools. We want you to talk about that, and this concept of ghost schools. It's a new one to me.
And the impact of that.
Yeah, it was a new terminology for me as well, ghost schools. But it's one of the things that gave me my very first good score. So when we came in, remember, I've spent all my life here within the state. So I knew what was. I knew where the monster had placed her head. So I already made some strategy, whether to start cutting the monster by the tail or the head or the middle part of it. So there was no way of going around the question than to hit it straight at the head. The very first 90 days we got into governance, we saved, I think, was it just about 3 billion or so, 3 billion, first 90 days. I think just about that. I knew it was over 2 billion naira that we have saved, even from the establishment of education. The ghost workers, and then we stumbled on ghost schools. Ghost schools in Benue had more teachers and very high graded. The least grade of a teacher in a ghost school was level 13. And once
these are teachers who have names, collecting salary,
oh school. Yeah, they were in the paper collecting salaries. And when we now opened the books fully, we went into the field to locate these very huge schools with very topmost teachers and with a lot of population of students. And then we discovered that even in those areas and towns and villages where they were named, never existed. People never heard of those schools ever. So we now came back to our drawing table and then I went back very fully to doing what we did to bring back over 2 billion naira that was saved by the state government.
Were they arrested? I'm really interested in this. Were they arrested? Have they been prosecuted? I mean,
a good number of them were just fake names. You can't trace it to anywhere. You can't trace it. But then there were some people out there, people who had retired were still collecting money. People who were dead were still collecting their own salaries. This was even spread all through the civil society, you know. So it wasn't only with the teachers.
Wow.
So it was a lot of work to do, but we were able to do that. And then the next 90 days made us realize that we had only scratched the surface of it. So we now took to the ICT corner to see how we were going to create automation at those establishments. And again, that was where there was a lot of pullback, lots of fight back by the very people who were serving, the very people who were protecting, and the same, it was sort of convoluted, you know, but we had gone past that stage now within the first year. So, but are we done with corruption within the system? The answer is no, we haven't. There are many more things we are planning to do, yes. We're still strategizing to see in the entire service, the figures were not right. The wage bill was not accurate. So nobody knew what was going in. Again, there was a lot of padding of the casual workers who in some establishments were more than the permanent staffing and all that. And how much were they collecting? So a number of things came to play. So we now had to rejig the entire system. And I think we're doing good, but still a lot of work to be done on this. So this is how ghost schools came to Benue. And a number of local governments had established ghost schools. So,
I'm sorry, Mr. Syria. Let's look at, this is one thing I did when I came in. By the way, this is my first time in Benue State. I tried to go and do personal investigation. You know, I came in through Benue Links, which I understand it's one of those new things that you have revived, you know. So, and I tried to ask questions. I didn't tell them I'm a journalist, you know, just to find out. And the comments are quite impressive. And I want to know more. What do you intend to do on the long run in terms of empowering the people, quite subsidize the payment that is being done? You know, but when people hear the word subsidy again, they are looking at it, how sustainable it is. Is it impacting on other sectors? Common mathematics gave us what we did. The new trend of Alianomics was easily carried out. If people, yeah, I like that.
My economics. So if people had suffered for so long, they were never paid, civil servants were never paid, people didn't have purchasing power, and traveling became quite challenging.
By the way, have you cleared the backlogs to a quite high
of
the workers who were never paid before you came in?
Yeah, still working on that. Okay. So we pay a number of arrears, you know, every now and then, and we just fetch a punch, and then we give out there. So again, it has to do with the good planning. So, and then when you are fighting insecurity, some elements of the good plans are still stalemated, you know, we're trying to work through them again. So this was what we kind of inherited. So, and the establishment had completely collapsed. Private individuals brought in their bosses and named Benue Links because it was a good sellable name. So we needed, first of all, to cushion people. There were already conversations on the removal of the fuel subsidy. So we had to be fast enough on our own thinking and then the strategy. If fuel subsidy is removed, by the way, people had no clue of the fuel subsidy until it was removed, and then everybody was awakened, you know. So we now had to do that. We got the federal government support. Some funds were given to the states to see what they were going to do, how they were going to plan it. Ours, first of all, had to go on farm inputs, fertilizers and all that. And then the second one was on transportation. Much went into transportation. We bought 100 buses to ensure that they reached all the 13 local governments, and then they went interstates. By beginning with that, we were cushioning our own government. You know, at least we knew that by that sector, people were going to complain less. So people had easy access, you know, to their movements and all that. So thank God for the young man we had there as the general manager. He's very hard, good business man and an economist who understand the craft. So with the way he has charted and with the organizations he has planned and is following his own strategy, it is sustainable by us. What we intend to do is even to increase some buses, because the money that was given them wasn't just a gratis to the establishment. We say the federal government did this for the people, but now we give this money to you as your own facility to see what you can make out from here. So, and they have started saving. They have saved quite a chunk. So if you go to the Benue links now, it's no longer what it was, deserted, forgotten, or marshy and all that. So he upped his own game, and with the increase of the buses, many more people, he gained even more customers, and then they were even reaching out. So we also compared other private ownership and even other government ownership also to bid down their prices, because the demand for Benue links was even now quite tall than even the supply. So they continue to work on that. But someone who is very good at pinching the pennies as well. So this is why we believe that it's going to be sustainable. We have a number of young people who have been hired, you know, by that establishment, and we intend to continue with the strides it's making. We're going to improve that space. We're going to create a hub, a bus stop hub, you know, which will become quite central to the entire city here. So he already has some plans towards that. So once that is done, he's again going to even gain more. That would be one value addition, and then his economy is also going to increase. So why he will spend money on that infrastructure, you know, to centralize, you know, the transportation, the making it the bus hub stop. More economy would now be more deliberate, more targeted. And there are a number of plans he has. He's already started executing them. So instead of having just the buses, it's now gotten some trucks to be transporting goods from here, Lagos, Kano, and all that. Again, which is a separate toy economy, you know, for the system. So there are a number of things going to do, and we will continue to work for the people. Another phase we're coming to spring up with is bringing more buses to go around the city to cushion our civil servants, and then the market women, you know, moving from one point to the other. So we're already midway with that plan. So once it matures, he is going to do that as well.
Excellency, let's talk about the health sector. Somebody from Nasra was telling me in Abuja that he came to Benue State University Teaching Hospital for treatment. What did he do in Benue State University Teaching Hospital that is giving you a lot of praises? What did he do differently there?
I feel strongly that it's having the round peg in the round hole, having the right personality to champion your cause. And the person we are privileged to have, the CMD we are privileged to have, is someone who understands his own art. He's been in there for a very, very long time. He's a specialist in his own area. And we had a need to upgrade our own hospital. That is one huge establishment. We have already begun work on our local government clinics as well. But we needed a tertiary so that instead of supporting people to do medical tourism, which still remains quite tall. Like with my budgeting of last month, it was quite tall. You know, just trying to help individuals. So instead of helping them to go elsewhere for their own medications and all that, why can't we create this at home? So we now upgraded everything about the teaching hospital. And that is where we still intend to stay. The right personnel is brought to bear. The right specialists are in there. We even need some more. So we're working around to get better funding even for them. Again, this also deals with our studentship from the medical school. We have brought back their scholarship scheme. And we're even trying to see before now where it was exemplified, they were supported and they had a contract to stay for I think 2 or 3 years, but they could not stay because there wasn't any good inducements from the government. So, but we had to change the dynamic. So we're going to have a number of, quite a chunk. I'm happy even to hear that other doctor students coming to our own facility here, you know, to do their internships and all that, their housemanships so-called and all that. So again, with this hospital, we pulled so much funds into it to make the system work. Is the only largest one we have. Of late, we also have the one established in Otuko in Zone C now. The one we have here, Makurdi, it's part of Zone B. So the one established there is also for the university. This began for the university and then was all open for everyone. We are going to open up, we've actually started already, the construction of a cancer center. I know that the First Lady has been very supportive of us at the state, and we are doing this in her own honor. She speaks so passionately about those who are undergoing the pains and the tortures of this. So, and then by our axis here, there are a number of things that are left unchecked. We are the hub of yams. The concentrates of yams, it's not all too favorable to the consumers. You know, if it is not moderately consumed. End result is you develop, you can easily develop diabetes. So, and for some reason, again, we're quite bad at data. So we're trying to establish all those. Why is it that, this is nationwide now. They will now tell you a number of diseases that are springing up, particularly even with cancer. You can confirm this from the Federal Ministry of Health. So ask them the proportion at different states. And what in the last 1 year, 8 months I'm observing is there are a series of cases of cancer by these axis of ours. So we have a need for it, ranging from the very young people and then to the adults. Talk of prostate, majorly. These are the categories we've been supporting to go elsewhere and fix all this. And then what we have now is extraordinarily improved. We're not only having just the cancer center, which is being built as we speak, and we are also having a pharmaceutical side by side with this center. The facility is already completed. So the CMD is now working on the modalities to bring in the new equipment in the hospitals so that we stop medical tourism. But thank God we're having quite a chunk of medical tourism into the state. That's my end point. So we have a lot of people from Cross River, from Taraba, and even beyond. And a good number of people coming from Nasarawa, and some even from Abuja, depending on what their anxieties are. We are very affordable, quite affordable. And then we're quite attractive. So not just being affordable, we have the art. We have the art. And then once we put the pharmaceutical side by side, we're even going to go lower. Because if we want people to function their optimum, they must be very healthy. So, and that no other person is coming to fix all this for them. And more so that we're revamping local government clinics and hospitals. We want to make our pharmaceutical the hub, so that all these are the quacks. We no longer take advantage of our people, and so that's the newness we have breathed into our system, and our hospitals and the clinics are also coming back to life.
Okay, His Excellency, I agree with you that we have one unifying factor in the whole world, which is sports, especially football. In Benue State, we have let me put it, our darling football team, the Lobby Stars. Of late, Lobby Stars have been at the relegation at the league table, and the thing has been a concern to Benue people. They no longer play their local matches at the stadium, where they have the privilege of going there to cheer their team, their darling team up. What is the state government doing to ensure that Lobby Stars regain the lost glory that used to excite the people of the state, and bring them out of that relegation position?
Thank you so very much for that question. Before now, I was quite a good athlete myself, so I have a DNA passion for sports, and this is why we're rejigging it. Before we came in, all our football pitches were written off, so they were no longer functional. Our boys were managing them quite all right, but it required a new breathing, so we took it up. The team was epileptically supported until we came in, and then we gave them a full charge. Go be the best you could be. And then we changed the management, and for some reason, human beings are human beings. Some people have some certain attachment to certain individuals that they take a foot, they take two. So, that cannot be fully controlled. But here's what we have done. Works are ongoing on the major football pitches we have here in the state. The largest, the Aperico Stadium. And then the second one, the McCarthy Stadium. McCarthy, it's, I want to be politically correct here, 70% concluded. Not being there in the last 2-3 weeks now, but keeps on, at the light speed. And it's the same thing with the Aperico Stadium, which is the largest. Thank God we've had the NFF and the Nigerian football bosses come in to see where we are with our pitches, because we're raising them to the international standard. So this is why we had to put so much funds into them. Unfortunately, for us, for some reason, my boys are no longer doing their optimal. They are not performing as they were doing. I don't want to blow my trumpet, but you just need to ask them. I mean, there are lots of football fans around town. Just ask them, or you can ask the management as well, or the board. And they can tell you that they have never received funding the way they have received during our administration. So I don't understand the nemesis, that these around, them. But we lost quite a number, because of the management change, we lost quite a number of Arrowhead players that went with those people. So we're still in a struggle mode to see what they can do. I think we're left only with six matches. If they pull through, perfect. If they don't pull through, they still have my 101% support, because it is in the Benue DNA on sports. And this is why if you go to the Aperico Stadium, we are revamping all these facilities in there. The swimming pool, the internationally measured swimming pool that was built but just left hanging for many, many years. So we actually sent the Swimmers Association of Nigeria come vet it, and they've gone back. And I'm longing to hear from them what the assessment is and all that. Benue had been in the front burners of sports generally, not only in football. We have a number of football legends from the States. So we're going to rejig the entire system. So my boys should not bother so much. And I crave your indulgence, you are fans. Don't be dismayed. Every now and then things like this happen. They have the hiccup. It could be administrative, it could be, because one person moves out and then packs the best legs, and then you are left with what we are left with and all that. But we have all the opportunity and the privilege of making them taller, making them bigger, and making them the best, as Benue is known for.
Mr. Governor, we just have a few minutes left to wind down this program, but there's something I'd really want to take you on about. It's something you said much earlier. I said Nigerians should stop seeing politics as a dirty game. All should go in and play it. However, there's an aspect I'd like to find out from you. Has it happened, or does it happen, that you're faced with decisions that may run counter to your beliefs? What, as a priest in politics, have you faced situations where, the general idea people have is that politicians have perfected the art of double speak, and there are times when they are economical with the truth. Have you faced those situations where you look yourself as a priest of 35 years standing, and certain things you have to do in politics?
It's only a legend that can come out with this kind of a very tricky question, but it's still very welcome. Politics being politics, for some reason, political actors have played badly or wrongly or offside to a point that politics was nicknamed a bad game. Politics require those who are responsible, transparent, accountable, and those who can deliver. Here has been my assessment. Before 1999, because of the back and forth rulership of the military and all that, there were nobody should even take this thing very personal. But I strongly feel that because of the instability, for good enough and excellent quality people to come into the ring of partisan politics, could not believe that the ushering in of the political practice was not even coming to stay. So a number of actors who came in by accident. And the bad side of it was they either some spoke and practiced half-truths, and were quite economical with the truth of politics, or, put everybody as in a banana republic down the hole, sealed it up, and sat on it. So it now became quite challenging in terms of, one, leadership selection, and then the active playing and participating in the partisanship of politics. And that took quite a long time. We thank God where we are. It's come to be fully established, so it is going to be sustained. Here's the thing. I'm fully convinced that down the road, as we are making the mistakes, correcting them, creating the reformations and all that, our system is also going to be perfected. Have I been faced with certain decisions that I felt were immoral or were different? There are certain decisions you have to do, not necessarily because you want them done, but simply because it is for the good of the people. And then you carry them out. So, if we bring to the scope the true definition of politics, it has to be something for the majority of the people. The greater good of the people must at all times be sought. Just talk about the capital punishment. Would I go for capital punishment? The answer is no. Personally, no. And by the tenets of my religion. But if our law permits, would there be a wiggle room for me to go around and then say, well, the law says this, but then there is some certain window chance for me to say, let's spare that life, correct him, and then make him a better citizen? I'll go for the option. But because of the people, because the law says and the people want this done, I must always stay with the people for the good of the people and the majority of the people.
All right. It's been an interesting 2 hours. It's all just passed. And so we'd like to leave this conversation, and thank you so very much for letting us ask you this question. And we also like to note that it probably is in the Benue DNA that for the second time they're having a priest, a reverend.
That is correct.
Well,
that is correct.
So from my colleagues, Coyote.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful time. We hope to have this some other time.
Okay. Abdul?
It's been wonderful being with you.
Grace?
It's been a nice time having this conversation with you, and we look forward for more.
Your Excellency, you should expect more power works from us next time.
And definitely, I'm looking forward to having you back here. One thing I know of me is the fact that I am a silent achiever. I encourage you to move down the streets, interface with the people, and then they will tell you where Benue is. But I look forward to having you back soon.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot. And well,
this is where we end this media chat. We thank you for watching, and you heard the governor. We will be back some other time. Thank you, and goodbye for now.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back from the live telecast. We'll now continue with our regular programs. Stay tuned.